some principles that have never worked before in this country that this administration has attempted to foist on America. And to some success he has, and yet it's brought about a great divisiveness. It's brought about great uncertainty about our economic future, about our security around the globe, and the fact that a number of worldwide toughs have inserted themselves into power positions again, to the point that we even are talking now about the resurgence of a Cold War. And that's not what should be happening, and I know that you and probably most of your listeners agree.
Yeah, I mean, what happened to Hillary's reset? I mean, that's got to be the worst reset in history, wouldn't you say, Tim?
Yeah, I tell you, when I press a reset button, it generally works, whether it's on my computer or on a circuit breaker or something like that. But this has not happened. It's just gotten worse and worse. And for those people that think that Putin desires Trump over Hillary, I don't know where they get that, because frankly, at the very least, he has to be very uncertain about our nominee and what he will or won't do. Putin already knows what Hillary, I guess, doesn't do.
Yeah, well, here's one of the things that aggravates me, Tim, the Uranium One deal. I can't seem to get Fox News, ABC, NBC, CBS, or anyone else seems to be covering the Uranium One deal. I mean, Hillary Clinton sold, 20% of our uranium reserves here in this country to a Russian company?
Yeah. And, I mean, you look at the other deals that she embarked upon and the amount of cash payoffs that she and her husband received that is now coming out in WikiLeaks. And it is too bad that both the so-called mainstream media and even Fox spend more time talking about the salacious things going on, and you and I both will not defend the indefensible, but we also know that in this case we are selecting a president who is going to be the seat filler and be useful as a tool for reconstructing America or further destroying America. And I think that's where the media ought to be talking about the issues that really impact, whether it be the Supreme Court, defense policy, homeland security, or pure, unadulterated economic spending policy.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, Tim, before we get on to some of these deeper weeds that we're going to dig through here, I want to clear the air, because you're in a race for the 7th District, and there have been accusations leveled at you that you are Mr. Giveaway when it comes to domestic or plans for trade, and you are not for TPP. Is that correct?
That's true. It is true that I am a fair and free trader. When you have the consumer base outside of our country that makes up 95% of the consumer base in the world, for us to cut out that consumer base and just stay home is asinine. We have to trade, and more importantly, we have to be the leaders in trade. I've been working yesterday, and will continue this next week, trying to get some type of arrangement from Customs and Border Patrol that won't stand in the way of something that Ford Motor Company wants to do in sending thousands upon thousands of vehicles in containers on ships going up the St. Lawrence Seaway from the Port of Monroe in my district over to Germany. That's the direction we want to go, and if we do proper trade deals, we can do it. So while I was supportive of trade deals like Korea, which frankly was supported by almost everybody and has turned out exceedingly good, not only was it Republicans and Chamber of Commerces and farm bureaus that supported it, but it was also Hillary Clinton, now vice presidential candidate Kane. Barack Obama signed it. Debbie Stabenow, Carl Levin supported it, and UAW supported it, along with the Manufacturers Association. So my district said that was a good deal, and it's turned out to be a good deal. On TPP, I said, and you and I talked about this before, and I appreciate a chance to review it, but I said I'm going to look seriously at TPP. We need to negotiate a deal with the Trans-Pacific Partnership where we're the top dog. I think most of the countries want us to be there as opposed to Japan, and yet it has to deal with several things. One, I said, even though China isn't in this TPP agreement, we still have to put, I believe, currency considerations in all of our trade deals, because we've seen what currency manipulation has taken place from China, and we got to make sure that we let the entire world know that we're not going to accept that. Secondly, We have to have alterations in the tariffs and the taxes that other companies or countries are putting on us, so that it's a true fair and free trade situation. We need to make sure the manufacturing interests are taken care of, and we need to make sure that things like pharmaceuticals and agriculture. Well, as far as I can tell after reading a good section of the 5,000 pages of TPP that's been online because of TPA, the Trade Promotion Authority, which set a framework in place that said, yes, Mr. President, your administration, you are the responsible party for negotiating a trade deal. We're not going to have 535 members of government negotiating it. But once you negotiate it, and we trust negotiate it well, then you bring it to us 90 days before you're going to put it forward for approval or disapproval. And 60 days of that time period, it must be available online for not only Congress to read, but for citizens to read. So it's not another situation like you got to pass it before you can find out what's in it, Nancy Pelosi said. So TPA allowed us to do that, and I think because of it, TPP isn't moving forward.
Well, that's
I think
good.
Both Democrats and Republicans have seen it didn't do anything on tariffs in any significant fashion or unfair taxation or on currency. It helped our agriculture, but our manufacturing interest, pharmaceuticals, weren't helped. So, no, I'm opposed to it, and any information that comes out from my opponent in the campaign that indicates that I have is absolutely, let's say it nicely, it's inaccurate.
Good. Good. Yeah, it's aggravating to see it, and she's been working hard thumping that lie on you, and it is very aggravating. So I'm glad we got a chance to put that out there. But let me ask you. So WikiLeaks, we're seeing just tons of John Podesta's emails from the Hillary Clinton campaign falling out. Is Congress going to be able to look at any of these and say, you know what? Because the things I'm seeing on Twitter, I'm not seeing the news coverage, Fox News, ABC News, none of them are looking at these. But people on Twitter are going, and they're literally reading these emails and pulling things out one at a time. And I'm not seeing the media do anything with it. Is Congress going to take a look at some of these emails being exposed and say, aha, here's something that Trey Gowdy should be looking at, or aha, here's something Jason Chaffetz should be looking at? Is Congress taking a look, or is somebody there? Is there a committee that's looking at these WikiLeaks emails to see if it help in any of these other investigations where we're not getting any answers at all?
Well, there will be. And talking with Jason Chaffetz, in fact, just after we adjourned for the October campaign period, there have been a request for information, if necessary, subpoenas, and then ultimately in the Oversight Government Reform Committee, in which I sit and Jason Chaffetz chairs, has already stated that we'll be looking at it. Now, we have to be in the majority to do that. So that's where we're fighting hard in the election to make sure that the Republicans still at least control the House, so we can at least have these oversight hearings. I can't speak for Trey Gowdy, but I'm sure it grates his gizzard right now, and old expression, to see this lady who basically defies any sort of propriety, decency, or law-mindedness by what she does, and with impunity, it goes in violation of the law as if it doesn't have any bearing on her. And so when you look at these WikiLeaks and you see how long this has been going on, and the efforts to undercut anything that we would look at as fair-minded campaign tactics, as well as propriety and doing what you should be doing as a public servant, and the deals made with foreign countries, bad actors. It's amazing that this is going on, but now it's come to light, and sadly, there's too much emphasis being given to the Republican nominee for things that none of us will defend.
Yeah, they're spending more time on gossip and rumors and what somebody said 11 years ago. Well, you know what? Enough of the garbage. I'm not asking anyone to defend it. I would say most men and even some women talk dirty when they think they're off camera anyways. But what's probably more important is the fact that here's all kinds of factual substance against Hillary Clinton, and it's not being talked about, for crying out loud. This is the issue, that this woman shows herself as a criminal, shows herself as unethical, and the media is so biased they won't talk about it.
Stop and think about it. When you have Carlos Slim, richest man in the world from Mexico, who is the largest stockholder or shareholder in the New York Times. That starts to show something as to why Trump is being hit in every way, shape, or form, and Clinton with all of this stuff that amounts to illegalities, not just indecencies, but illegalities. And in fact, direct opposition to what America is all about. They won't say anything. In fact, they go just the other direction of defending her. And that's why when you don't have a fair and free press that's out there in the national scene at the very least, and to a great degree even on the state and local scene, you've got problems because the people will have to respond to what they hear, and it can either be on the Internet, which isn't always true, and it can be on the mainstream media, which is seldom true. So you've got a problem going on, and that's why your listeners, my constituents all across the 7th District, have to take a look and say, what are we going to do here? We're not going to be able to elect the perfect person, never have. So which one will move us forward and back to those foundational principles at the very least, or give those of us in Congress that will work in an ally fashion to move back toward limited government, liberty, and justice for all, not just a few, and that we all have to live by the same rules and laws as everybody else. If we go that direction, I think we'll see a rebound of this great country.
Great. Well, for those people who came in late, we're talking to 7th District Congressman from Michigan, Tim Walberg. And Tim, I want you to say hello to Ken Magee, who's running for sheriff here. I think you've met Ken before.
I met Ken. It looks like a Navy SEAL or an Army Ranger.
He's hardcore, man. Yeah,
he's hardcore.
He's hardcore.
He has a six-pack where it's supposed to be, unlike mine. Mine's dropped a little bit.
Well, thank you for the kind words.
And looks like he has an agenda to move forward to do the law-abiding thing and to make sure that those of us who are law-abiding citizens, we abide by the rules, we love the Second Amendment, and we play by the rules with the Second Amendment, and the other things that there in Washtenaw County will have a sheriff that will not only support freedom and liberty and justice for all, but also make sure it's the criminals that have to bear the results of their labors.
Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it, and I concur with everything you said about me, and look forward to serving the people of Washtenaw County.
Cool. Well, so Tim, let me ask you. We got to approach this ugly elephant that's sitting in the room, and you kind of opened my eyes because you're privy to some information. You had a conference call with Paul Ryan, and a lot of my listeners, a lot of my Twitter followers, very angry with Paul Ryan because they think that Paul Ryan has kind of dumped Trump and is not supporting him. Can you tell us a little bit about that conversation you guys had in that big conference call?
Yeah, it's a shame that we still have moles within our conference, and these are members. It's not highly unlikely that one of them gave the password and the phone number for the conference call to somebody else, potentially media person, and all they had to do is put in the password and then give that member's name, and the person taking the call would not have known any difference on that. So I was seeing information come out from our conference call before we were totally finished with it, and it wasn't fully accurate. All Paul said was, guys, after the last weekend, when all of that came up, and in my district I had to do what I had to do about campaigning, but I want you to know that I am not unendorsing Donald Trump. He says I am supporting him, and I will be voting for him. I can't defend some of the things that he says that are indefensible, but he is our candidate, and we have to get him elected. He says, but I also understand that some of you are in very, very different situations, and in your districts, he may be hurting you, and some of yours, he may be helping you. So all I'm saying to you is do what is necessary for you to come back, because if we don't have a House Republican to hold back the tide, if indeed it goes the wrong way and Hillary Clinton is elected. And so that's what he said, and then he went on to say, and so for that reason, because I'm Speaker of the House, and my responsibility is to make sure that we stay in a majority, I'm going to be spending all my time campaigning for you. Now, I tell people, if you were head of a business, if you owned a business, and you saw something going wrong, and you had a bunch of other things you could be doing with charities and community projects that you've been involved with, but until you could fix and repair and make solid again your particular business, you would probably step back from all of the other issues and go on just with your own company. That's all Paul was doing. And it's a shame that it was reported, sadly, by media trying to disrupt the Republicans, divide us still further. But I'm not